Hello everyone. Let's play Warlock of Firetop Mountain, shall we? As someone who grew up as a bookish kid in the 80s and early 90s, I spent a lot of my time reading game books. Lone Wolf was my personal favourite series, but the Fighting Fantasy series was probably the biggest one of its kind, and Warlock of Firetop Mountain was the first one in the series. If you're not familiar with game books, which you might not be if you grew up in the age of technology, the probably best known ones are the Choose Your Own Adventure books, in which you just make a decision and then go to the appropriate paragraph to see how that decision plays out. But actual game books like Fighting Fantasy, Lone Wolf, Way of the Tiger, and assorted others, made it more of a role-playing thing. They included skills and special abilities and dice rolls to determine success or failure in various tasks. And combat, it was basically an attempt to do a Dungeons & Dragons-like role-playing game for one person, with the book acting like the Dungeon Master. So I read a lot of these as a youth, and I have Warlock of Firetop Mountain in my cupboard. This is clearly some kind of adaptation of the book, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. I haven't played this. I've played the tutorial just to get a sense of how the combat works, but beyond that, I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm probably not going to do a whole Let's Play series on this, but I thought I'd play it for an hour or two and just see where that takes us. So let's hop into New Game. We'll play Story Mode, because that's the only one available at the moment. Greetings, player. Welcome to the world of Titan, in particular the most notorious of all lands, Alancia, which is how I pronounce that. I suppose I could pronounce it Alancia, considering my name. I am Oriana, the Keeper of Souls, your guide and your game master of sorts. Nice art, by the way. I don't think this is from any of the books. This seems to be original. Many adventurers have entered Firetop Mountain over the last 30 or so years. Voracious readers have wandered the many passages, battling the monsters within and negotiating the many traps, only to then take on the might of Zagor, the Warlock. So if you're not familiar with Warlock of Firetop Mountain, the book, it has the most basic of D&D style adventure premises. There's an evil warlock who lives inside a mountain, he has a load of treasure, and you want his treasure. So you go in and get it, and whack assorted things with your sword along the way. Very, very basic, bare-bones fantasy adventure stuff. The Fighting Fantasy books, as they went along, became more interesting in terms of their premise and the kinds of adventures. And there were some really weird ones. I have a soft spot for Black Vein Prophecy, which is a particularly strange one. But Warlock of Firetop Mountain was bare bones, I want treasure, go and get the treasure from the evil warlock. So let's see if that's what we're doing here. With skills, stamina and luck, which are the stats from the Fighting Fantasy books, they have chosen their many paths and rolled their fate. Many of these brave young adventurers have perished in the darkness, and their souls even now lie unclaimed. You appear to be the next brave soul to take on the mountain and all it contains. To do this, you will need to choose an Alancian hero to take into the mountain. So this game actually lets you choose from several possible characters, which is an immediate deviation from the book. At first, I wasn't sure if this was going to be just a straight adaptation of the book, but it's already deviating in allowing you to choose from several heroes and the combat system, which is kind of a grid-based thing, which was obviously not the case in a book. Don't get too comfortable with your choice, however, as the ways are treacherous and it is doubtful that you will survive. Only by bringing me the souls of the fallen may you be blessed with new heroes over time, each with their own quests within Zagor's domain. So that sounds like the different characters are going in for different reasons. It's not going to be just a straight treasure grab, necessarily, like the book. And it sounds like we can unlock more characters with repeated plays. So let's see who we can choose from to start with. Okay, we've got 4. I assume it's 4. These people at the back look like villagers. Okay, so we've got Lunica, Decion, Alexandra of Blacksand, which is the setting of the book City of Thieves, which is another classic fighting fantasy book. And this person, Aaron Gotspeed. It says next group. Okay, these are all greyed out, so I assume we can't choose these yet. I guess these are the ones we unlock. Groups of characters. Okay, so these ones are epic adventurers. These are intrepid explorers, and the ones we have access to at the moment are Alancian heroes. So, let's see who these people are. Lunica Akadi is a keen explorer, especially of bustling cities that she'd previously thought were only legend. So she's very inquisitive, very curious, but she likes to thoroughly explore places before she moves on to the next discovery. She's endlessly enthusiastic, which makes her tiring company. Okay, she's got a big spear. That's pretty cool. The fighting fantasy stats are skill, stamina, and luck. And her stats are medium across the board. So assuming this game follows the same stat format as the books, skill will range from 7 to 12, and so will luck, and stamina will range from 14 to 24. So her stamina's not bad, but she's basically resolutely medium across the board. And she has several attacks. They all have several attacks, which can be deployed in different ways on the grid-based combat screen. So I'm not going to bother getting hung up on these. I think I'm going to just choose the character that appeals to me most right now. Who are you? Decion Strom. Soldier for hire. Oh, he's a mercenary. He escorts merchant wagons to and from Sardath, the city of his birth. He's arrogant but skilled, in it for himself. Okay, don't like him. He seems a bit self-interested, not hugely keen. What about the next person? Alexandra of Blacksand. If she comes from Blacksand, she could well be a thief. She has high skill, decent stamina, and kind of low luck. Okay. She's got a reputation for completing quests quickly and diplomatically, reducing the need for unnecessary conflict. She's educated and lucky. Okay. This guy has high stamina, medium skill, low luck. So he's moderately skillful and he's brawny but not very lucky. Yeah, his approach in battle is simple and direct. So he just charges into battle hacking at people. When you're playing a game for the first time, often the sort of brawny melee character is a good choice, so I'm tempted by him. But I think I'm going to go for Lunica because she has a cool spear. And she's an explorer. She's curious about lots of things and she likes to check them out, which appeals to me as someone who has degrees in history. That's up my street. Go and check out the cool things, Lunica. So we'll select her for our first attempt here. Take Lunica Akadi into the mountain. Yes, let's do that. Okay, I've actually done the tutorial, but it looks like it's going to make us do it anyway. You'll encounter many foes. I'm not going to read all of this. Okay, so we'll run quickly through the tutorial because it's making us do it. So you have this sort of grid-based thing here, combat space, and you can move a space like this. Move. Easy. And your opponent wobbles when it's going to attack you, which is an important thing to notice. So you and the opponent both select to move simultaneously, secretly, and then you both move at the same time. So although it's turn-based, you don't take it in turns to act. So we managed to dodge his attack there because he wobbled to signal that he was going to attack. And because enemies often move, you frequently want to attack where you think they're going to be rather than where they are right now. So we're going to take a swing at this space here. Bam! See? Landed a hit on him. Okay. So now it's telling us that we need to attack it while it's attacking us, and we'll have a clash which results in a roll-off. like this. So now we both roll, see who gets the better roll. Oh, the enemy got the better roll. But we have much higher skill, so we still won. Okay, use your movement and attacks to defeat it. Fine. So it's moving that way, so I guess we will... Can we attack diagonally? We can. Let's attack where it's going. Bam. And then it looks like it's going to move this way, probably. Although I think it wobbled, so maybe it's going to attack. Let's try. Yeah, we both attacked that space. It didn't wobble, so it's moving back this way. So we'll attack there. Take this dummy out. Okay. I think from memory this was the last of the tutorial bits, this second one. So we'll zip quickly through here. This is basically telling you that you have special attacks which have a cooldown on them as well. So we need to defeat these things. So we'll move over here. It turned to face us and it's wobbling, which means it's going to attack. So we'll get out of the way. And it attacked there. And then it didn't wobble, so it's moving back up to the top left there. So we'll attack. But why don't we try out one of our abilities? Poison Strike. Let's see if we can poison it. Yeah, successfully poisoned the training dummy. I think both of them wobbled. The right-hand one definitely did. So let's get out of the way. There we go. That one took some poison damage. I think the poisoned one is moving towards us, but we can probably just leave it because it's going to be taking poison damage. So, the other one is moving to the right, so let's attack that space in front of it. Whip out left slash. I don't really know what it does, but let's do it. Okay, that looked like it hits a couple of squares, so that's useful to know. I think that's probably going to be attacking, so let's attack it the space where it is now. There we go, done. Hopefully that's it for the tutorial. Lost no stamina because we took no hits. Gained 3 souls, which I think allow us to unlock more characters. So now, I think we can head into the dungeon. Keep an eye out for wooden benches. I recognise this from reading Warlock of Firetop Mountain. If you find these benches, they can restore your stamina, which is your health in this game, or in fighting fantasy books. So take a rest, regain some stamina if you see one of these benches. You have food, which you can scoff down at any point, but it's more effective while you're resting on a bench. Apparently. You'll receive 3 resurrection stones at the start. If you die heroically, you can use a stone to bring yourself back to life. I don't know what happens if you die in a non-heroic way, like if you're killed ignominiously, humiliatingly, if the stone just refuses to revive you. You'll appear at the last bench you passed and lose any souls that you picked up since you passed the bench. Fine. Okay, here we go. Travel to Firetop Mountain. And we toddle along the road there, on our way from the village to the mountain. You rest at the base of Firetop Mountain from your 2-day hike. Strange red vegetation spreads across its peak like a blood-red stain. This journey has taken you further away from the fishing village of Akkad, which is where we come from, but your lust for magic, history and art has led you to Zagor's lair. Research and rumours have brought you here due to the promise of unique magical treasures. You mainly seek the Amulet of Ashra, a powerful artifact that offers protection and good fortune to those who keep the memory of the old gods. The amulet was prized by one known as Kosben Minamin, a master of fire elementals who wanted to use the magical rubies set into the jewellery for some evil arcane acts. You have tracked him to the mountain where he is now in the service of the evil Warlock. Although warned by Anvil's villagers, you fear not the threats of the Warlock's creatures and traps. As you confidently approach the cave entrance, you level your spear ready for any encounter. Your adventure starts here. So we're actually not looking for the Warlock in this particular adventure. We're searching for this Kosben, the fire elemental master. I don't know whether that means he's a fire elemental or he's someone who commands fire elementals. But either way, it looks like he's the one we're looking for in order to retrieve this amulet. So, let's get in, shall we? Oh, I remember that diagram. That is either the same illustration or a very similar one to the one that opens the book, Warlock of Firetop Mountain, showing the entrance into the mountain. Peer into the gloom. I assume we'll get some choices at some point as we go along. You see dark, slimy walls with pools of water on the stone floor in front of you. The air is cold and dank. Hearing faint scurrying to the east, you light your lantern. The dampness of this place reminds me of home. Still, I can almost smell the magic in the air. Old gods protect me as I search for my prized amulet. And we're going to step warily into the blackness. We're standing in a dark, slimy cave entrance. The only option open to us is to walk forward and approach the fork. Now, I don't know whether this is completely scripted or variable. That is, whether you will get the same layout of the mountain every time. I suspect you will, because that's how it worked in the book, of course, because it was pre-written. Possibly it might vary between characters, I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out whether different characters have the same layout of the dungeon or not. So, looks like we've got our first choice. We've arrived at a T-junction. We can go west, or we can go east. To the west, there's a guy standing right there with a big axe. So maybe we should avoid him, but I'm tempted to go over there just on the basis that if there's a guard, there's hopefully something interesting there. Yeah, let's go west. A little way along the passageway, you come to what is clearly a sentry post. I definitely remember that illustration from the book. Sleeping Orc Guy. You approach with caution and see an orc in leather armour asleep at his post. If all the orcs I meet are asleep, that amulet is as good as mine. Don't get cocky. We're way too early in the adventure to be that confident. So we need to carefully approach the sleeping orc. There's no other way through the orc other than straight in front of him. That's an odd way of phrasing that. You could try to sneak past, or perhaps the direct approach might be better. So do we want to wake him and fight him? I mean, I would be in favour of stabbing him in his sleep, frankly, for practical reasons. But, I don't know, we shaking him awake and going, hey! Hey, orc, we need to fight now. Or we can try to tiptoe past. I didn't get the impression that Lunica is a particularly stealthy kind of character. Our skill is very, very medium. Our luck is okay. I don't know what kind of role this would be. Let's try to sneak past, and at least see which stat resolves this sneaking. Try to learn some more about how the game plays. Try to tiptoe past. You tiptoe past the snoring orc. Your dexterity allows you to pass easily. Okay, so that sounds like it's a skill test. You safely tiptoe past the sleeping orc. The passageway begins to widen until you enter a cave. However, blocking the cave's exit are two of the ugliest creatures you have ever seen. They have the proportions of dogs, but their hide is rough and scaly. What's that flickering? The game's flickering for some reason. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Each beast is chained to the cave wall, secured to their thick brass collars. Okay. The two orc hounds. Oh, they're part orc, part dog. That's unpleasant. They begin to snarl and strain at their chains. They cannot reach you, but their chains are long enough that should you approach, you will not be able to escape their slavering jaws. Slavering? Slavering? I don't think I've ever heard that said aloud. I'm not a big fan of dogs, orc hounds especially. You're going to have to deal with them quickly one way or another before they attract the attention of an orc patrol, or maybe something even worse. So we could throw them some food as a distraction, but of course that means we then have less food. Or we could pull out our spear and murder the dogs. I'm tempted to chuck them a sandwich for simplicity, but I feel we might regret it. On the other hand, do we want to fight if we don't have to? Let's chuck them a ham sandwich, see if that works. The orc hounds wait expectantly. What do you want to offer the animals? Well, it looks like there's the option to have a joint of meat by this point in the game, but we don't have that, so we'll chuck them a sandwich from our bag. Taking out a portion of your provisions, you throw the food towards the orc hounds. The hungry animals fight over the food for a moment and then take the choicest pieces to devour on opposite sides of the cave. Not hesitating for a second, you quickly pass between them. However, one of the orc hounds gobbles down the food more quickly than the other, and as you pass by, it lunges at you, catching your calf with one of its vicious tusks. -1 stamina, so we actually took a hit anyway. At least it was only 1 stamina, though. That's the fighting fantasy equivalent of stubbing your toe. Passageway turns north. Alright. So we'll toddle along here. I quite like the fact that we're represented by kind of a little miniature with a base and everything. That's kind of fun. That looks like a bench. That's one of those rest here benches. So that's a checkpoint for us, I suppose. Leaving the cave as quickly as you can, you follow the new passageway as it turns north. There we go. There's our bench. Rest ye here, weary traveller. Set against the wall is a wooden bench where you may rest. Player, I would strongly advise sitting on this bench. So that's the narrator, I suppose, popping ahead in. If you do not, Lunica Arcadi will not be... If you do not, Lunica Arcadi will not be able to resurrect at this location if they perish. Okay, so we actually can't use it as a checkpoint if we don't rest on the bench. So, we can either just sit down for a rest, we can rest and eat lunch, or we can ignore it. Well, we've only taken 1 stamina point of damage, so let's just have a sit down for the purposes of getting a checkpoint. Your aching muscles ease, your tiredness wanes. We got 5 stamina back, and if I understand it correctly, eating lunch as well would have given us more stamina back. So, let's continue. So we're back to full health now. The little graze we got from that dog tusk has been healed up by having a sit down. Continue along the passage. To your left, on the west face of the passage, there is a rough-cut wooden door. You listen at the door and can hear a rasping sound, which may be some sort of creature snoring. How rude! I'm a snorer, and I wouldn't like to hear my snoring described as rasping. It's more of a sort of snorting gurgle. I won't stand for this inaccuracy. Okay, do we want to open the door that has a snore behind it, or not? Now, survival instincts say no, obviously not, but I've played enough fighting fantasy books to know that you find important treasure in unexpected places. So let's at least see what's in here. It's a room with... The door opens to reveal a small, smelly room. In the centre of the room is a rickety wooden table on which stands a lit candle. Underneath the table is a small wooden box. I don't know why my mouth was insisting that the next word was candle, and I had to struggle to get table out. So there isn't a creature hanging around in the room, which makes me a little bit concerned that the snoring comes from in the box. Oh, here we go. Asleep on a straw mattress, groaning in the far corner of the room, is a green-skinned orc. He is a stocky creature with an ugly, warty face. He must be the guard for the night watch. So he's an off-duty guard. I wonder if that wooden box contains any interesting trinkets. Is it worth the risk to take a look? Try to nick it without waking the orc up, or just leave. Well, let's live dangerously. I mean, we've done pretty well at remaining safe so far, so let's try and nick the box. Carefully, you begin to creep into the sleeping orc's room. Test your luck. Now, if this works the same way as the books, which I'm guessing it does, you roll against your luck stat, and you actually lose a point of luck each time you do this, whether you succeed or fail. So the more you rely on luck, the harder it gets to successfully be lucky. So at the moment, we've got 10 luck, which is our personal maximum, so we're actually in pretty good shape. We're likely to pass it. But the next time we'll only have 9, so it'll be that much harder. Let's give it a go. I mean, we have no choice. It was the only option. So we'll roll these dice. 5. That's good. So on that roll, you actually want a low roll, because you want it to be less than your luck. And it's the same in combat in the books. You roll against your skill. Or do you roll and add to your skill? Doesn't matter, because the game will take care of it for us. But with luck rolls, you want to roll below your luck, so high luck is better. Success. Take the box and creep out of the room. With the box in hand, you leave the room and open the box in the passage. Inside, you find 4 gold pieces and a small mouse, which must have been the creature's pet. So, money and a mouse. Plus 4 gold. Good. Thinking about it, I think the way combat works in the books is you roll and add that to your skill, and then compare it to the opponent's skill plus dice roll, if I recall. Just for clarity there. You release the mouse, which scurries off down the passageway. What if I wanted that mouse? What if I wanted to keep a nice mouse pet? Okay, so we got the box. It had 4 coins in it. You stand outside the orcish sleeping quarters, and the only option is to walk up this corridor. You arrive at another door. You listen at it, but hear nothing. So, do we want to stick our head into every room we pass? So far, this is actually ringing some bells. The box under the table and all of that seems familiar from the book. So, yeah, possibly this is actually drawing quite a lot from the source material. Again, I'll be interested to see how it differs, if at all, from one character to another. Yeah, let's look inside. I mean, we're an adventurer, we're here to have an adventure. You can't adventure by just walking along ignoring everything. The door opens to reveal a small room with a stone floor and dirty walls. There's a stale smell in the air. All these rooms are so smelly. In the centre of the room is a makeshift wooden table on which is standing a lit candle. Under the table is a small box, and using your keen eye, which I think is one of Lunika's perks, for want of a better term, you can see that it moves every so often. In the far corner of the room is a straw mattress. So this is very much like the previous room, box under a table, except in here, the box is moving and there's no one asleep. It's funny though that I thought initially that the snoring creature in the previous room had to be in the box, and in here it looks like there may in fact be a box with the creature in it. Maybe I've got some kind of lingering Warlock of Firetop Mountain memory somewhere in the back of my mind that's giving me a nudge about this. If the box is moving, there has to be something inside, and it's probably not something I want to deal with, so... I mean, it could be another mouse, I guess, but let's be on the safe side and jab our spear straight into this box. Cautiously, you open the box and quickly thrust your weapon within. There's an angry hiss which is quickly silenced. Looking more closely, you discover that you've skewered some angry snakes which were trapped inside. We managed to stab all the snakes with a single thrust of our spear. That's impressive spearpersonship. Looking more closely, you discover a key, which you quickly take. From among the carcasses of the snakes, Zagor's key you found. Zagor's key. He owns the whole of this mountain dungeon, and he only has 1 key. That seems like lax security. And why would he store it all the way out here, right by the front door? Anyway, the stale, dirty room does not seem to have any more secrets to hide. You decide to continue to head deeper into the orcs' barracks. Okay, so it's decided that we're in a barracks at this point. That does not seem like somewhere we want to be. The tunnel turns eastward and then splits. Okay, so we can either head east or go north instead. Eastward, I don't see any doors or anything, so there's no telling what's down there. North, I can see there's a door. So, I mean, it's very hard to know which way is the better option. The fact that there's a door to the north concerns me a bit. It makes me think there might be more of these rooms with more orcs inside them. So, let's go east. Okay, this is a dramatic looking room. I am not keen on that aggressive shouting that we're hearing right now. You follow the passage as it slopes downwards until you find yourself at the corner of a large chamber. The architecture suggests that this was originally made by dwarven hands, but it has clearly been repurposed by the orcs. It appears to have been turned into some kind of training hall. Fantastic. So it's full of orcs learning to use their weapons. This is not good. Dotted around the chamber are a number of wooden posts that bear the marks of axes and other weapons. A cacophonous din echoes around the hall as green-skinned creatures in leather armour either strike the posts with their swords or hit each other with wooden cudgels. So I would like to just get out of here, but being based very much on a game book, there's no backtracking here. Typically, in most game books, you can't backtrack. So we're going to have to find a way through this, most likely. You guess this is what passes for a training session among the brutish orcs. If I keep to the shadows at the edges of the hall, I might be able to enter unseen. Yeah, so you see, we can't go back. Obviously, real-world logic would dictate that you back hastily out of the room and head for the quiet corridor round the corner, but not in a game book. At the eastern end of the chamber there are two doors. Halfway along the north wall of the hall is another doorway secured by an iron gate. So, do we want to try and sneak to the northern iron gateway, or over to the doors at the east end? Or do we want to kick the door in and just start a rumble with all the orcs? Frankly, with a skill of 9, I don't fancy our chances against a big mob of orcs. So the question then is, do we want to sneak north or sneak east? The Iron Gateway concerns me a bit. Iron Gateway to me says locked, or risk of being locked, so I think we head to the eastern doors. Keeping close to the wall, you begin to make your way around the edge of the chamber. Orcs are on the lookout for intruders, but you skillfully manage to stay out of their line of sight. Metal Gear Solid style. Your dexterity allows you to quickly slip past the brutes. So we just dash across the room like that. Easy. Fortunately, you make it to the far side of the chamber without any of the orcs noticing. One door has a dented shield nailed to it, while the other with a battered helmet hanging from it. That's, again, slightly odd phrasing there. But one door has a shield, one door has a helmet. I'd forgotten how easy it was to evade orcs. Again, don't get cocky. I have read Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and it is a bad place to be. Okay, do we want to open the shield door or the helmet door? I mean, there's no telling what either of these is going to be, so we'll just have to basically coin toss it. Helmet door, purely because the shield is battered and the helmet is not. It's as good a reason as any to pick one of the doors. You find yourself in a cramped room full of battered helmets, rusting hauberks, I think that's pronounced hauberk, and suits of leather armour. The contents of the armoury are inferior compared to what you're wearing, but it strikes you that if you wear a few choice items over the top of your own gear, you might be able to pass yourself off as an orc. Sure, let's do that. You take an orc helm and assorted pieces of armour, attempting to hide your own features. You gag as you do so. The stench is almost unbearable. Well, yeah, I mean, this is basically a medieval world. Deodorant isn't a thing. Everyone stinks. However, it might just fool the orcs. Unfortunately, the armour is rather cumbersome, making you a bit more clumsy. Oh, don't tell me we're taking a skill penalty. We are! So now we only have functionally 8 skill, which is bad. That's barely above the minimum possible skill. You plan your next move. Okay, so we have to get out of this room, because there's only one door. We might as well check out the shield room while we're here. Okay, this looks like it has a dude in it. You find yourself inside a moderately sized chamber and are immediately hit by a wall of heat. On the far side of the chamber is a crude forge, its coals glowing red hot. In front of it, a heavy-set orc is hammering out the dents in a damaged breastplate over an anvil. So this is the smithy, I guess. Nearby are 2 goblin assistants. One of them is eagerly watching its master repairing the armour, while the other is cowering in fear in the corner. Evidently this miserable creature has recently been punished. Poor guy. While orcish armour is rough and ready, I've always admired how they can turn any old scrap of metal into a functional piece that actually defends them. No need to be condescending, Lunica. Hearing you enter, the orc armourer looks up, an angry expression on his ugly face. Well, I'm wearing orc clothes, so hopefully I can get away with this. Sadly, I don't think this orc is going to be interested in a discussion about how he puts together studded leather. Face the armourer. What do you want? The armourer grunts. Get out of here, I'm busy. So, are we going to just leave? Or smack him while his guard is down? See, I'm wondering now, if we attack this orc, will the goblins defend him or help us because he's clearly been abusing them? You know what? We haven't had a fight yet, so let's start a fight with this armourer. Just for shits and giggles. Surprised, giving an angry bellow. Roar! The Orc Armourer charges at you, his scorched leather apron flapping about him, his heavy hammer raised to deal you a fatal blow. The goblins shriek with glee as they rush over, no doubt to curry favour with their master. Well, that's not what I was hoping for. So, time for a fight. Yeah, I hoped that the abused goblins might back me up in dealing with their abusive master, but no such luck. Stockholm Syndrome or something. Okay, so we're actually in a pretty cramped space here with 3 enemies and these anvils getting in the way. If we go to our left, sort of upward here, then this goblin will be able to hit us. I feel like this, sort of to the right, is the only way that we're going to be able to move without the risk of taking a hit straight away. So let's do that. I do not like the fact that we had to take a skill penalty. That is a problem. The Armourer and this goblin down here both wobbled, so they're both going to be taking a swing at us. And I think even with one of our special abilities we can't attack them both. They're too far apart. So maybe can we move diagonally? No, we can attack diagonally, but not move. So if they're both aiming for this square, I mean, actually, the Armourer looks like he's aiming at that square in anticipation of us being there. Let's back up over here and hope that this guy doesn't attack this square. Excellent. Alright, so looks like this goblin isn't going anywhere, so let's just take a swing at him. Let's try and poison him. Why not? Ah! He sidestepped away, but we still managed to get him. I thought he wasn't going to move because he was facing into the wall, but no such luck. Okay. I didn't notice who wobbled, so this is actually kind of a risky position to be in. Let's chase up here after this goblin and hope he's not going to take a swing at this space. Yeah, he didn't. Good. Okay. His health is almost depleted, assuming that this bar around his base is his health, or his stamina. So, yeah, in the top right it says he only has 1 stamina left, so I imagine we should be able to finish him off. Now, if he attacks us as well, we'll have a roll-off, but our skill is 3 points higher than his. Ours is 8 against his 5, so the odds are in our favour. So, let's try and finish him off with a straight-up attack. Ah, he moved. But the poison finished him off anyway. I don't know what the armor is going to do. He could attack this space. I mean, it looks like he's facing towards that anvil, but I don't know if that necessarily means that's the direction he's attacking in. So, let's back up. Oh, okay, he's got some kind of special attack that lets him attack to the sides, ahead and to the sides, by the looks of it. Right, let's keep manoeuvring round until we reach an advantageous position of some sort. Okay, that goblin wobbled, so he's going to be attacking in our direction in the coming turn, I think. So we'll get out of the way. Ooh, he anticipated our movement. That was unpleasant. Okay, we need to get out of the armourer's way. Good. Now, it's probably a good idea to try and land a hit on this goblin. Will our poison attack go that far? Yes, our poison strike will travel 2 spaces, so let's try and poison this goblin. There we go. So, that should finish him off before too much longer. He's probably going to try and attack us here on the next turn, but I don't want to move out of the way because that puts us in range of the armourer if he's attacking. So, let's try and stab this goblin and hope that we pull it off. Aha! So what happened there was the goblin swiped off to one side of us in anticipation of us moving, but we did not. So we fooled him by standing on the spot. Can we stab this guy? So we could poison strike him, except it's still on cooldown at the moment. we don't have any other attacks that will reach that far. I don't want to try and move in closer in case he's going to launch an attack directly in front. So let's try and move out of the way here. And then I reckon he's probably going to walk forward in the coming turn. So let's attack this space that's directly in front. Success! Okay, I think we're going to get through this. We've finished off both of the goblins. Now his attack will actually hit the space that we're in and the one that's directly in front of him, so we need to move further away again. Okay, he just did a straight ahead attack. That's not so bad. We're currently out of range though, and we can't wait on the spot. We have to do something. I'm going to try a poison strike in the hope that he will sidestep into that space. He did not. He probably is going to this time, but the poison strike will be on cooldown now. So let's back up over here. He didn't wobble, so he's not going to attack. So he's probably going to walk into this space. So let's stab it. Okay, good. He wobbled this time, so he's going to attack. And it might be that wide sweep again. So let's... I don't know. Let's back up again. So, in my typical game playing style, I'm playing quite cautiously. He wobbled, so he's going to attack again. So let's get over here. And this time we can poison strike him. Excellent. Triumphant. So I'm going to take a sip of my tea, and then we'll continue. Okay, now that I've had some tea and removed the undignified glugging sound through the magic of future editing, let's continue. Surprised give... Oh, that's the bit we've already read. You have defeated the Orc Armourer, and we managed to only take one hit, which is actually not terrible. The battle done, you quickly search the Armourer's room and find the Orc's loot inside a small chest. You scoop up the coins and stash them in your pack. 12 gold! Wow, that embarrasses the mere 4 coins that we found in that box under the table. The Armourer's loaded. No time to check out his work, I have an amulet to find. Yeah, we don't want to search the blacksmith. With nothing else of interest in the armory, you decide to leave. So we're back out into the training room, which means the only option we have, I think, is the gateway to the north. I mean, it says leave, or investigate the gateway to the north. I would have thought they'd be the same option. Let's check out the gateway. The orcs are so engrossed in what they're doing and making so much noise while they're doing it that they do not notice you as you make your way to the iron gate, open it, and enter the small room beyond. At its centre stand what look like scarecrows made of battered armour, their supporting poles stuck in a strange arrangement of wooden cogs and gears. As the gate swings shut behind you, the training quintains, I guess, shudder as they activate, although whether powered by magic or the curious wooden mechanism, you do not know. So these are the same training dummies that we fought in the tutorial, but apparently they're going to actually try and kill us this time. Okay. So neither of them wobbled, so they're just going to be moving. So let's attack there. Land a hit. So it looks like probably... Yeah, it only has 2 stamina left, so 1 more hit should do it. Typically you inflict 2 stamina damage on a hit in Fighting Fantasy. I didn't notice whether either of them wobbled, so I'm going to assume that someone's attacking. Yeah, I don't know what's the safer option, to stay where I am or move. Let's try moving. Okay, they both just sort of swung in random directions. That one, the one next to us, looks like it's going to move away. So we're not going to be able to hit it with a normal attack because it'll move out of range. But we could poison strike it. There we go. This one's going to attack directly ahead of it, so we don't want to go there. Let's step off to one side and anticipate that next time it'll move forward to here. Excellent. Hey, we just fought an armourer. okay? I'm not concerned about training dummies. So we'll back up in case it attacks there. Ooh, good choice. It did some kind of big sweeping attack. We would have been hit by that. And then I think it's probably going to move into this space, so we'll attack here. Success. Training dummies, absolutely no threat to us. We gained 4 souls. You've defeated the Quintains. The Quintains eventually grind to a halt, your blows having irreparably ruined the wooden workings. Examining the leftover debris of the Quintains, your keen eye spots something else glinting in the midst of the rubble. 2 gold! Wow, even training dummies were carrying almost as much money as that one orc guard. I think he's underpaid if the training dummies are being paid almost as much as him. Leave the orcs training hall entirely, so having thoroughly checked out the entire place, we're leaving. Making your way back to the western side of the hall, you decide to take the northerly of the 2 exits available to you, reasoning that this one will take you deeper into the mountain more quickly. Alright. So we'll toddle along this tunnel. It looks like we've rejoined the main passage where we didn't venture up it before. You arrive at the end of the passage at a 3-way junction. Well, it's a 2-way junction for our purposes, left or right. So, we could go west and there's some kind of double door, or we could go east and there's a staircase. Well, last time we had a junction option, we avoided the route that went past the door, so in the interest of balance, let's take the door corridor this time. You listen at the door and hear angry shouting coming from within. Yeah, let's bust it open and find out who's shouting. Adventuring is fundamentally a reckless activity, so let's do it. You open the door to a large room. A large chair behind a solid-looking table suggests that someone, or something, of rank uses this room. And it's this guy, whipping someone. This looks a bit awkward. I mean, look at the way he's looking up now, as though we've caught him in the middle of doing something he didn't want to be seen doing. I mean, he's whipping someone, so he's quite right to not want to be caught doing this. But what the hell is wrong with his hand? Can you see that? His right hand is actually a left hand on a right arm. That is really disturbing. I mean, not to judge you for your physical impediments, guy, but you are whipping this other person over here, so I'm not well disposed to you at the moment, and your arm is freaking me out a bit. In a corner of the room stands a strange-looking orc. Well, yeah, because he's got a right hand on his left arm. A strange-looking orc with a warty face standing over a smaller orc. With the whip in his hand, he's been beating his servant, who is whimpering beneath him. Nothing annoys me more than someone abusing their power. True, but the last time we tried to help out someone who was clearly being abused by their master, they all turned on us anyway. So yeah, see, I made this mistake before. Spring at the orc and hope his servant will aid you. Or we can kill them both. Or just leave. Well, I don't feel comfortable just leaving this poor person being whipped by this guy. Again, yeah, I'm not labelling you as evil for having a weird arm, but you are whipping someone brutally, so I'm going to have to intervene here. Whether the whipped servant aids me or not. Let's do it. As you spring at the orc, his servant rises to his feet, picks up a hefty wooden stake and joins the melee, but to your disappointment he attacks you. Yep. Same thing happened again. How many times are we going to go through this before we learn? But we got an achievement. Thanks for nothing. So we could actually just leg it out of there. Or we could get into the fight. I mean, even though the abused servant is turning against us, he's probably only doing it in anticipation of his master being angry with him or her if we lose the fight. So yeah, I don't want to assume the gender of the whipped orc because it's not specified in the text. So let's fight. Let's try and take out this whipping person. regardless of whether the abused servant appreciates it or not. Although, we're probably going to have to kill the servant as well, I imagine. So maybe it would have been more humane to leave. But we're in it now. What can you do? So, I don't know what kind of attacks the whip-carrying orc is going to be able to do. It might have a longer range attack, like our poison stab. So, it's hard to know what's a safe position to be in. Let's... Well, I think there's only one way we can go. Unless we can move into this barrel. We can attack the barrel? Well, let's experimentally try that. See what happens. Okay, so attacking the barrel accomplishes nothing. I think the goblin servant wobbled, so it's probably going to attack, so we don't want to go that way. But we can't move in a different direction, because there's furniture in the way. So, I guess I will just stab here, just to pass the turn. Yeah. Okay. The whip orc is going to be attacking. The goblin is going to be moving. So let's move over here. Whoa! Okay. That guy destroyed the table. I didn't even know that was an option. I think the goblin didn't wobble, so probably going to move again? In which case it will have to move sideways. So let's attack over there. Success. Alright. I think they're both attacking this time. I didn't see whether the goblin wobbled or not, but the orc definitely did. So we probably need to get out of there. And then the goblin is not attacking. It can't move into our space as far as I know, so it'll have to move there. So let's attack. Okay. It didn't do anything. I didn't think that was even an option, to just stand on the spot. But at least we landed a hit on the orc. Now, there's no safe place to move here. I mean, if we move, it's possible that one or both of them will attack the space where we are now and we'll be fine. But it's a gamble. I would imagine they're probably going to attack the space next to us in anticipation of us moving. And we can't stand on the spot. It doesn't give us that option. So, let's use our left slash, which hits both of these spaces, and see if we can take out one or both of them. Okay. Ooh, it's a roll-off. Oh, no. So what happened there, if it wasn't clear, was we performed an attack that hit both of those spaces, but the goblin moved out of the way, and the orc was attacking us in the space we're in now. So we then had a roll-off, and added that to our respective skills to see who won. The orc's skill is pretty close to ours, and we rolled very badly while the orc rolled very well. So we ended up taking a hit there. Now it looks like the orc is going to move into the space straight ahead of us, so let's whack that. No, it's sidestepped. Cheeky orc. Well, the orc is definitely attacking this time, and we did manage to finish off the goblin, so let's get out of the way. Excellent. And I think the orc is going to be moving into this space in the middle, so let's attack it. No, the orc keeps moving in ways I'm not expecting. We need to get out of the way of this attack. Okay. It anticipated where we're going to move. That is not great. Okay, what I'm thinking now, because we're taking quite a lot of hits, what I'm thinking is back up over here and then try and hit the orc with a poison strike from a distance next time. Ugh, no, it came this way. It's really disorientating that they don't move in the direction they're facing. I mean, it makes sense, because neither do we, but it is a little bit disorientating. Let's get out of the way again. Correct choice. Okay, I really think the orc is going to move up into the corner this time. Maybe not. He might sidestep down towards us, but let's try a poison attack ahead. Ah, damn it! Stop these shenanigans! So based on last time, the orc is probably going to attack a space where he thinks we're going to move to. I reckon this one to our right, directly in front of him. So let's just take a swing at where the orc is right now and hope that that works out. Oh, it's a clash. We lost the clash again because we're just rolling like a complete chump. Okay, I think the orc is going to move... But so far, the orc has mostly been sidestepping, so let's gamble on it moving here, directly in front of the way that we're facing right now. Yes! That's what you get for sidestepping all the time, orc. Now, the orc's going to attack, but I don't know whether it's going to attack one of the other spaces, or where we are now, or both. I think it has an attack that can attack multiple spaces, so there may be nowhere we can go where we're not going to take a hit. So the safest option might be to attack him and hope that we win the clash this time. Ah, it worked out. It wasn't a clash. So the orc attacked a space, a single space where he thought we were going to move, but we did not. So we successfully stabbed him while he was busy doing that. We did take a lot of damage there, though. We're at half stamina now, which is not great. We got 4 souls for unlocking future characters. The green blood of the dead orc smells foul as it seeps from their bodies. You step around the corpses and investigate the chest. It is of sturdy construction, made of strong oak and iron, and it is firmly locked. Looking closer, your keen eye notices there appears to be a mechanical trap fashioned into the lock itself. That is classic role-playing. So, do we want to try and set the trap off, basically to neutralise it, set it off without sticking our head in it? Or do we want to leave it alone and leave north, or leave it alone and leave south? We lost a point of skill, so I don't have huge faith in our dexterity anymore. Let me have a swig of my tea while I'm considering. Okay. Considering how much stamina we've lost, I'm not sure I want to gamble that we might take a hit from this trap. So, let's head out. North or south? I don't know. Arbitrarily pick south. As you're about to descend the steps, you hear a commotion in the room below. It sounds like a large number of orcs have entered and are not happy. Perhaps they've realised that they have an intruder and are looking for you. It would be foolish to go that way now. I'm going to head north. So we have to head north anyway, so it was a false choice. Oh, there's a bench there. We didn't have the option to sit on that bench. That's upsetting. I wonder why not. Anyway, we've gone back to the junction, so now we have to walk eastwards onto the Offspring logo that's on the floor here. You arrive at another junction in the passage, north or east. North looks like a scary important room and it has a guy with a spear in it. But at least we can see there's only one enemy up there, whereas we have no idea what's east, so let's go north. The passageway leads into a square dungeon chamber. There are 2 doors in the eastern wall and 2 in the western wall. On the opposite side of the room, another passageway leads away north, so lots of exits from this room. The first door to the right is well used, and putting your ear to the keyhole, you listen and hear a man screaming for help from the inside. Ah! Help! Before deciding what to do next, you listen at the other doors as well. So someone is screaming for help, and we go, yeah, just give me a minute. Underneath the panicked cries from someone behind the second door to the right, there is the unmistakable wet slurping sound of a slime beast. You can identify the kind of creature it is based on its slurp. Wow. You remember hearing that noise deep in the Kalong Marsh. Hello! Hello! Not funny! Open the door! I assume that's the person inside and not us yelling into the slime beast. The first door to the left is made of solid metal. Listening at the door, you hear the sound of tortured screams coming from within. Putting your way to the second door on the left, you hear nothing. So, lots of screaming from behind these doors. I dare not think what that slime beast is doing to that prisoner. Maybe I should check that out first. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the others are also screaming, but it doesn't sound as pressing as the person who's being eaten by a slime beast. I don't really want to have to fight a slime beast, but in good conscience, I don't feel comfortable just leaving that person there. As you approach the door, the banging gets louder and the bolt starts to shake. Come on, Gnurk. Let out. Let out? Wake it up! Sliding back the rusty bolt and opening the door, you come face to face with a panicked-looking goblin with a horrific creature closing in behind it. So someone locked this goblin in here with the slime beast, and the goblin, by the sounds of it, works in this place. So, workplace pranks. They can go so badly wrong. As you suspected, you come face to face with the toad-like features of a slime beast. The creature gives a hideous shriek, revealing its mouth full of long, spiked teeth, and leaps at you to attack. Slime beast! Slime beast, save me! Squeaks the panicked goblin. Now, I'm not sure whether it's warning me about the slime beast and asking me to save it, or whether they're squeaking to the slime beast to save them from me. Could go either way. Your reflexes are quicker thanks to your marshland experience. Ah yes, the well-known rapid reflexes of marsh-dwelling folk. You spear the slime beast in mid-air and it falls to the ground with a crash and a hideous croak. With no more threats in the cell, you take your spear and clean it. So we didn't even have to fight the slime beast, that's kind of a relief. Inspect the room. You poke the cowering goblin gently with your spear. Well, hopefully the blunt end, because poking it gently with the sharp end isn't necessarily going to make us a friend. Thanks, help! It rasps, relieved. Are you addressing me as help? How rude. I find Gnurk. Punish him. Why have slime beast? The cowardly creature runs off before you can get a word in, leaving you alone in the slime beast's cell. So whoever Gnurk is, who played this prank on this goblin here, Gnurk is going to regret it. Initially, it looks as though there's nothing of value in the slime beast's cell. However, upon a second glance, you notice a blue candle sitting in the mug. I would argue that a blue candle is still not particularly of value in the scale of things. But we might as well take it. I mean, is this a Legend of Zelda blue candle? Is this going to allow us to open up new exits? Although it's an odd place for a candle, you decide to take it with you. Why is it an odd place for a candle? Surely slime beasts need illumination as well. It may come in handy in one of the darker areas of the mountain. You put it in your backpack. And the only option is to leave. So we're back out in this hallway. So which of the screaming rooms do we want to open next? Well, tortured screams sounds a bit more urgent than just someone screaming in peace. So we'll check out that place. Torture it is. The door is not locked and opens. The room in front of you seems to be a small torture chamber with various torture devices around the walls. In the centre of the room, two small hunchbacked goblins are having their fiendish way with a dwarf, who is tied to a hook in the ceiling by his wrists. The two hunchbacks are poking and cutting him viciously with their swords. Poaching him would be worse. I don't see the significance of them being hunchbacked. I mean, so what? They have bad posture. That doesn't make them evil, but torturing a guy probably does, in fairness. The dwarf lets out a final scream and falls silent, eyes closed. His captors make disappointed noises. Oh? And look around angrily at you as if it were your fault that the dwarf has collapsed. Yeah, our entry into the room caused him to have a heart attack. We're that exciting. You must act quickly. So, do we want to slam the door and just back out and go, sorry, wrong room, I was looking for the bathroom? Or do we want to heft our spear and give battle? Or do we want to join in the torture of the dwarf and fake an evil laugh as though we work here? Well, I wouldn't join in the torture of the dwarf if he was still fine, but it does say quite clearly a final scream and falls silent, which makes me think he's probably dead. So we could probably poke the dwarf with impunity, without having to feel bad because he's already dead. On the other hand, what if he's not dead? And then we just leave him here. What if he's just passed out? But then every time we've tried to intervene to help someone, it has not gone super well. So how much of a do-gooder do we want to be, really? I'm uncomfortable with it, but for pure self-preservation, I think we back out hastily. The dwarf is probably dead, and if that's the case, there's really no point fighting those two torturer goblins. You stand in the orcish dungeon. Open the first door on the right containing the screaming man, or the silent door on the left. Okay, let's check out the other screams. You unbolt the door and swing it open. A nauseating stench hits your nostrils. Inside the room, the floor is covered with bones, rotting vegetation, and slime. A wild-haired old man, clothed in rags, rushes at you, screaming. It's like being in the post office. Oh, okay, he is definitely wild-haired. And look at him leap! He's quite spry, considering how unwell he clearly is. And still kind of looks like the post office. His beard is long and grey, and he's waving an old wooden chair leg. Does he actually have a chair, or did someone just give him a leg of a chair? Oh, I think that's a chair in the corner, right? He snapped the leg off his only chair. That seems short-sighted. Is he simply insane as he appears, or has this been some kind of trap? So we could shout at him to calm him down. I'm not sure that will work hugely well. If someone is aggressive and possibly hysterical, just yelling, "Calm down!" at them isn't very calming. We should probably try and speak to him soothingly instead. Calm down, wacky old man. Relax. Put the leg back on the chair. Have a seat. Let's talk about this. So we'll try to calm him down by bellowing. You start to shout, "You are free!" at the top of your voice, but are swiftly cut off by a table leg to the face. I can't say I'm surprised. Yelling "you are free" at him was not necessarily the way to go. -2 stamina. Oh, that's bad. Our health is not looking great now. In your disguise. Oh yeah, we're still disguised as an orc. I completely forgot about that. The delirious old man must think you're one of the orcs who's been holding him prisoner. There's no reasoning with the man in this state. Prepare for combat. Alright, well, that's kind of our own fault for dressing up like an orc. So we're going to have to fight this guy. I was trying to help you out, man, but you weren't to know, I suppose. Okay, he wobbled, so he's going to take a swing at one of these spaces. So let's not move closer. Let's poison him. Take that. Wow, he was very flimsy. I feel a bit bad murdering that guy who was clearly not in the best of health. But he didn't leave us a choice. You've defeated the prisoner. You run the emaciated prisoner through the chest with your weapon as he rushes you. Not only that, we poisoned him, for good measure. He crumples to the filthy floor in an instant. If only you hadn't been wearing this disguise, perhaps you would not have startled the delirious man into such a desperate attack. So the moral of the story is, if you're trying to sneak into somewhere, don't wear a disguise, because you might scare a prisoner. Who knew? Okay, the only door we haven't opened is the one that's quiet, which worries me a bit. Quiet is ominous, but I would feel slightly uncomfortable leaving one door not investigated out of all the doors in the room. So, let's have a look. And this guy across the bridge is just not perturbed at all by anything going on over this side. The door is unlocked. Opening it, you find yourself at the threshold of the Orc Weapons Store. A torch hangs from one wall, lighting up a small armory room stocked with swords, shields, helmets, daggers, breastplates, and the like. Ah, this picture vaguely looks familiar. The shield with the moon on it rings a bell, so I think this is another one from the book. Possibly all of the illustrations are from the book, I'm not sure. It's a cool picture though. A circular iron shield with a gold crescent lies at the far end of the room. However, as you do not use a shield, it is worthless to you. Okay, so maybe one of the other characters that's a shield user might actually have got some benefit from this, but we just handle a big spear, so we don't want this shield. Might as well search the room while we're here though. You poke around the room. The weapons are blunted and worthless, and the helmets are battered and rusty. Zagor does not equip his staff adequately. You know, they should take this up with the Union. You decide to inspect the breastplates on the shelves to see if there's anything worthwhile there. You examine the breastplates and the shelves thoroughly, but there appears to be nothing of value. So, just a room full of garbage. Okay, the only option left is, let's go. Exiting the dungeon, you hear the sound of water ahead of you and make out a grilled portcullis at the end of the passageway. Before you can reach the portcullis, you will have to cross a bridge that passes over a gully of gurgling, brackish water. Health and safety! You suspect it may actually be a sewer, judging by the smell rising from it. Very much a health and safety issue. See, this is one of the funny things about these classic dungeon crawl situations. These people live and work in this environment. Presumably they all have jobs to do in here. So this is a workplace / a residential space. There should not be an open sewer running directly underneath this path. Make your way towards the bridge. As you make your way towards the bridge, you pass a small creature which appears even uglier than the orcs you've encountered. How rude. Lunica has no manners. She's very judgmental of everyone's appearance. The goblin salutes smartly, well as smartly as a goblin can. Oh no, that's not okay, as you pass by. It then returns to picking its boils. Okay, yeah, I want no part of that. If they're picking their boils, I want to get away from here. That is grim. Leave the orc barracks in disguise. Okay, we got an achievement for being in orc clothes. As you cross the bridge, you pass out of sight of the sentry post. So I guess this is one way that we've benefited from being in disguise. We did scare the old man and have to murder him, but we weren't stopped by this boil-picking guard. As you cross the bridge, you pass out of sight of the sentry post. Having had enough of looking and smelling like an orc, you discard your disguise. Well, you're just going to go back to smelling like a stinky, unwashed human, because, again, medieval. So you probably don't bathe that often, and you certainly don't have deodorant. So we're moving on from the orc barracks. Where are we going next? You arrive at the end of the passage. An iron portcullis blocks your way, and no amount of charging is going to budge it. Okay. This could be a problem. On the wall to your right are 2 levers. Oh yeah, there they are. And it seems likely that these levers have something to do with raising the portcullis. This being a fighting fantasy book, I'm guessing one of them opens the portcullis and one of them is some kind of trap. Using your keen eye, so again that seems to be one of Lunica's special abilities here, you notice that the left lever looks misshapen compared to the right lever. Well, what does that tell me? Does the lumpy one open the portcullis or the smooth one? I'm going to pull the neat and tidy right-hand lever just on the basis that if it's the lever that opens the door, it's maybe going to be better maintained. Although maybe the left one is warped because it sees a lot of use. But I'm going to pull the right one on the assumption that neat means correct. You hear a deep rumbling noise and the ground begins to shudder. Slowly and noisily, the portcullis rises into the ceiling. With hesitation, you walk towards the junction, listening carefully. Do we hear anything? Oh! What the hell is going on with this guy? He's just kind of jigging. He looks like a priest, maybe? Based on the white robes and the amulet and things. And he's just dancing a jig in the middle of the corridor. Suddenly, a terrified young man runs into you. Accidental click. His white rune-embroidered robes. Oh, rune-embroidered. To me, it kind of looked like people had just signed all over it, like on the last day of high school. His white rune-embroidered robes are torn and smudged with dirt. He looks at you with panic in his wide eyes. So, again, fits entirely with last day of high school. I yield! Education is not worth this much danger, no matter how great the reward. It is high school! You calm the young student down and he begins to relax. My name is Ian the White, he says. I'm a humble acolyte seeking entry to the School of Sorcery. You learn that he gained entry but was deemed unworthy by the Elemental Masters. This is something that is not ringing a bell at all from reading the book, so I reckon this might be new. I mean, the art style is reasonably consistent with the book, but while I don't remember a lot of specifics about the book, there are a lot of things that ring a faint bell, like I feel I've seen it before. This does not ring a bell. And it's talking about the Elemental Masters, which I think is a new addition specifically for Lunika's character here. This acolyte may know Cospen Minamin. I must make the most of this opportunity. So do I want to ask about Zagor, ask about the school, or ask about Cospen specifically? Bumping into this guy who's really stressed about his dissertation or whatever, and then immediately going, hey, do you know Cospen? Might be a little bit suspicious, so I'm going to ask him in more general terms about the school. You ask the young acolyte about the School of Sorcery. It's highly prestigious, he sniffs, and highly dangerous. There are all sorts of magic traps to keep novices out, and even then you must meet the approval of the Elemental Masters. Well, frankly, a school that's based inside a deadly dungeon seems like somewhere that you should be cautious about attending. I mean, imagine the commute when you have to go into school every day and find your way through this orc-filled dungeon. It's bad news. Deciding to know more, odd phrasing, you press for information on the magical traps. Well, there's the hungry doors just ahead, but I knew a trick to get through those. See, they don't even tell you how to pass through the dungeon to get to the school. You have to figure it out yourself. This is a bad school. Simply say the words dinner time and they'll stop moving. Okay, that's useful to know. I should really press him about Cospen too before he runs away. So we'll do that. You ask the young acolyte if they know of Cospen Minamin. He seems to relax at the mention of his name. Yes, I know that old fool. He's currently experimenting with fire gems, trying to extract their power. I hear the Master hasn't been happy with him for some reason. I assume the Master then is Zagor. You ask him about the Amulet of Ashra, but he's not heard of the artifact that you're looking for. He does say that to find Cospen you need to keep heading west until the passage narrows, then head north to the Hungry Doors, which is the entrance to the school. He then mentions that once in the school, head east at the junction and look for a door with a flame on it. So going west, then north, then east, looking for a flame door. The young man points down the passageway before pushing past you and running off. You try to catch up with him asking for more information, but he darts under the portcullis you entered earlier. There's no point chasing him back through there. I should continue westwards to try and find Cospen and hopefully the amulet. So, we'll go west. It's the only route we have. The passage begins to widen and you soon arrive at another junction. While the north path looks inviting, I'm going to keep heading west following that acolyte's directions. I thought he said go north, but okay. You cautiously continue down the rocky corridor and stop in front of an open portcullis entrance built into the stone. The sound of clinking chains and monstrous growls can be heard. The corridor continues on to the west. Maybe I could deviate from my westward path, just for a moment. Well, are we still auto-following the directions of the student, or not? I mean, this seems to imply that continuing to go west is following the student's directions, but then he did say go north. Let's check out the north and see. Okay, it looks like this is just a single room by itself. Stepping through the portcullis, you enter a stone-flagged dungeon cell with the floor covered in a green slime and littered with bones and filth. There are also some broken pieces of furniture. However, none of this is as important as the huge, hideous, green-skinned creature standing in front of you. It is a troll. A strong chain tethers it to the wall, preventing its escape. However, the chain is long enough for the troll to easily reach you around the room. I've fought trolls before. Huge, stupid creatures that seem to get stronger as they move. And we've got no choice but to fight this thing. Ugh, okay, that is huge. This concerns me a bit. I mean, look at it. It takes up 4 spaces. That is a problem. And we only have less than half stamina. So this is not great. Apparently we can eat provisions at any time, although I'm not sure how we do it. Let's see if we can eat provisions in combat. What about clicking this thing at the top? Does that work? No, that just changes the camera. Yeah, maybe we can't eat provisions in combat. Unclear. Okay. So, we're not in range to try and poison the thing unless it moves towards us. I didn't notice whether it wobbled or not. I'm going to sidestep and see what happens. So we'll go here. Okay, it moved, so we could have hit it with poison. It wobbled this time, so it's going to attack, and creature of that size, you would think, maybe it might actually have a range of 2 on its attacks or something, long arms. So I feel uncomfortable about standing here. I'm going to sidestep a bit further. Okay, it didn't have range of 2, but it did have a big sweeping attack. So it looks like it's going to move again. The question is whether it's going to move forward or sideways. I'm going to gamble that it's going to sidestep, like that whip-wielding orc from earlier. So I'm going to fling out a poison strike directly ahead. Success! Poisoned that troll. It wobbled, so it's going to launch an attack. We don't want to get pinned in the corner, I think, so let's sidestep out again. Okay, good. So far, so promising. I haven't noticed whether it can move its entire base. Like, whether it will only move one space ahead of it. So, basically, will it leave the rear half of its base behind here, if you see what I mean? Although it doesn't really matter, because our Poison Strike is on cooldown anyway. It could move towards us. So let's gamble on that. Let's gamble on it moving towards us and launch an attack. Yeah, success. It's got a lot of health, though. I mean, we've done 2 good hits on it so far, and it still has 6 stamina left. Ah, look at that. It says regen, regains 1 stamina when moving. So it actually heals up as it moves around. So we're actually going to have to do more damage than it appears in order to be able to kill the thing. I think there's nowhere we can go to avoid being hit here. I think its sweeping attack might actually hit us even if we sidestep out of the way. Now it has skill of 8, which means it's almost on an even footing with us, but statistically we're still likely, more likely than not, to win a clash. So let's attack it and hope that we win the roll off. Because I think if we try to move, we're just going to take a hit anyway. We actually won the clash that time because we rolled fractionally better than the troll. Excellent. Now it's going to move again this time. So we want to try and attack it. Poison Strike is still on cooldown. So let's just smack it with a normal attack. Oh, it actually tried to move towards us. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know there was a possibility of it trying to move into a space that it assumed we were going to vacate. That's kind of interesting. But now we have the same problem again, that it's going to attack and I don't think we can get out of the way. So let's do the same again and clash it and hope for the best. Let's use the Poison Strike and try and re-poison it here. To basically try and offset the stamina regen when it moves. Win the clash, win the clash, win the clash. Oh, we just about won it. Excellent. We beat the troll, we didn't even take a hit. And we gained 6 souls for our accomplishment. Okay, what's next? You carefully examine the troll and discover a bag filled with gold pieces. You also find a bronze amulet cast into the shape of a bull's head. Okay, there's our 8 gold. Yeah, let's take the amulet. I mean, why are we here if not to loot some treasure? You reach around the troll's neck and try to unfasten the amulet's latch. After a few tries you succeed and pull the amulet off the troll. The bronze amulet glints in the light of the cell. So the question is, do we want to put it on or shove it in our bag? I feel like I want to put it on, because that way at least we might find out what it is. But this being fighting fantasy, there's the possibility that we put it on and it blows our head off or curses us or something. So let me think. I think... Ugh, my tea's gone cold. Yuck. I think if we shove it in our bag, we may never find out anything about it. So let's gamble on putting it on and hope it's something good. Wiping off the grime from the troll, you put the amulet around your neck and fasten it on. Then you realise it may be cursed. Well, I had thought of that. You brace yourself for the ill effects. But nothing happens. The amulet seems harmless enough. You leave it on. Seems harmless enough is quite an ominous way of describing it. You glance around the room once more and gag at the stench of the muck in the corner. You wonder if it's worth taking a second look. I like the way this is described as search through the filth. Why not? I mean, rummaging around in the dungeon isn't exactly a dignified or clean lifestyle choice anyway. So let's rummage in this garbage. Carefully and with a sense of regret, you begin to dig through the filth left behind by the troll. It's a slow, arduous process, which yields nothing. Fine. Remember to sanitize afterwards. What a waste of time. It feels like the stench is everywhere. With nothing else to do here, you decide to leave. So I guess we're continuing in search of the school westward along the corridor. You cautiously make your way down some steps. The air here seems different somehow. I sense strong magic ahead. Cospen, Minamin and the Amulet of Ashra must be in the passages ahead. Yeah, we're approaching the School of Sorcery, which is hidden inside this mountain. You reach a junction where the path turns north, through an archway held up by two pillars. A narrow passage also runs off to the west. The acolyte said I should turn north once the passage starts to narrow. Perhaps this is the junction he meant? Oh, the game isn't even going to tell us whether it's the right junction. Well, let's go north. Let's try it. You walk down the passageway and gasp at the sight you discover. Directly in your path is a large pair of wooden doors, carved to look like a menacing, fanged mouth. A simple sign ahead reads, "Speak the magic words." Okay, so this is the hungry door, or whatever it was called. And we know the magic words thanks to our chat with the panicky student. As soon as you begin to approach, you startle a nearby lizard. It darts off down towards the doors. They spring to life as though controlled by magic, which they probably are. They lift and drop dangerously, and as the lizard tries to zip through them, the doors fall and crush it flat. I'm going to have to be more careful than that lizard. Well, we don't need to try and sneak past, because we know what the magic word is. Hold up the bull amulet, that's interesting. But we know the magic word, so let's just do that. You stand in front of the hungry doors and speak, and we somberly pronounce dinner time. And there goes the door. Excellent. The hungry doors stop moving. You walk through safely and reach the other side. A bench at last. It seems like forever since the last bench. Set against the eastern wall is a wooden bench where you may rest. So last time we sat down on a bench we got 5 stamina back, which would take us to 12. So it's probably worth eating a ham sandwich while we're at it. You sit down on the bench and take out a portion of provisions from your pack. Your moment of rest, combined with your healthy provisions, makes you feel much better. 10 stamina. Great. So we're back up to full stamina now. Good. Feel a bit less concerned. Oh, we've also regained our skill point. It didn't mention that, but I assume that came from resting on the bench as well. Excellent. Oh, no. Actually, you know what that is? We took the disguise off. That's what was causing the skill loss there. Okay. Continue onwards. So, we got a checkpoint there as well. So if we get killed, we can revive there. Several meters up the passageway, you arrive at a junction where you may turn either west or east. Notice how we're getting into a fancier part of the dungeon here. There are carpets and things. So I guess this is probably the school. Want it to be all nice and comfortable for your fancy private students. I seem to remember the acolyte saying I needed to head east at this junction. I remember that too. So let's go east. And we're looking for a door with a flame on it. The passage turns to the left and a wooden door trimmed in iron sits in the east wall. Various inscriptions adorn the door, but none makes any sense to you. You listen, but hear nothing. Well, since we're looking for a specific door, I'm going to ignore this one and just keep going north. You follow the passageway to the north. At the end of it, there's a door leading northeast. The passageway also continues west. Again, it doesn't say anything about a flame-having door, so let's keep walking. Heading west down the passageway, you find that it turns north again. Further down the passage, there is another door set at the top of some stone steps. It has a large flame scratched into the wood. That's the one. Just as the acolyte said, a door with a flame on it. So in we go. Oh, this doesn't look good. Cautiously, you climb the stairs upwards. You open the door and are immediately hit in the face by a blast of heat. Better than a chair leg like earlier. I think I may have just found Cospen Minamin. There is no doubt that you have entered the home of a Master of Fire. A large flaming sphere writhes in the centre of the room, clearly the source of the Master's power. Suddenly, two huge creatures pound towards you. They pound towards me. They are monstrous lizard-like beasts, their scales shining and shimmering from the flames all across their bodies. Oh, this sounds extremely bad. I'm glad we managed to heal up at that bench, though. They sweep their huge tails left and right, knocking over pots and spellbooks. These are salamanders, creatures constructed entirely from fire magic. You hear an unhelpful warning as the creature bears down upon you. Watch out for the salamanders! Alright, so we're going to have to fight these two fiery lizards. Who's this? There's a person standing there. Is that him? Is that Cospen? Interesting. Well, can we click on him? We cannot, so I guess he's not in the fight then. So, I didn't notice who wobbled or did not wobble. Can we attack two spaces diagonally, actually, with the poison thing? No. So, the question is, do we move or attack? I didn't notice whether they wobbled, so I don't know what they're going to do. I'm going to stay where I am and attack this space up here in the hope that that salamander walks forward. No. Okay, so they attacked. The top one wobbled again, so that's definitely going to attack. I didn't notice about the second one. It's kind of difficult to watch all of the enemies for relatively subtle wobbling. But at least I know the one at the top of the room there isn't going to move. The bottom one might. So, let's take a swing at this space here. No. Okay, this time they're both moving, I think. Neither one of them wobbled, so let's take a swing again. Of course, it could sidestep, but let's try it. Excellent, landed a hit there. They're both attacking, so we're in a position now where one of them, at least one of them, can hit us wherever we are. So if we stay where we are, they could both hit us if they aim at this space. And if we move in either direction, one or the other could hit us if they aim at that space. So it's a gamble. I mean, are they expecting us to move and thus going to attack the spaces where we could move to, or are they going to attack us here? I feel like we stay here. I think they're going to attack the spaces where they expect us to move to. So I'm going to take a swing at the salamander we've already wounded, and hopefully, even if they're attacking the space we're on, that will get us into a clash with one of them, which hopefully we can win. And with any luck, we'll only take one hit at worst. So let's try it. Okay, alright. We didn't get a clash, but we did still only take one hit, which isn't too bad. I didn't notice who wobbled and who didn't. So let's do the same again. It's a clash this time. We rolled pretty well. Killed the salamander. We did take another hit from the other one, though. The surviving salamander is moving away, or possibly towards, but either way, it didn't wobble, so it's not going to be attacking us. My guess is that it's going to sidestep closer to us, so let's fling an attack at this space. It moved away. You coward. Okay, it's attacking again, so I'm going to back up and see if we can try and coax it into coming into this narrow bottleneck where we are here at the moment. Okay, this time it's attacking again. So it seems like this thing goes for a pattern of a couple of attacks and then a move, which is a little curious. Kind of predictable. Let's move forward, because if it follows the same pattern as last time, then it's going to step forward to here. So let's fling an attack out. Yes, you're so predictable. And it's going to attack again. Now, again, the question is it going to attack where we are or where it thinks we'll be? The last two times it attacked, it went for the space where we are right now. So let's move out of the way. Success! It's wobbling, so it's going to attack again. And I assume it's going to attack the space where we are again, because that seems to be what it does. So let's move. Ah, alright. Not quite as predictable as I thought. It's going to move again. It's facing away from us. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to move that way, but it did move away from us the last time. So let's step forward and try to keep on it. Okay, good. So it's going to attack again this time. And we really need to try and finish this thing off. So I'm going to just take a swing at it, which at worst will result in a clash. Which isn't great, because it has a skill of 9, so it's basically a toss of a coin as to whether we win. But let's throw out an attack, because otherwise, if we either move or stay where we are, then we're gambling on taking a hit and not accomplishing anything. Excellent! Okay, just a bit more. It's attacking again, but where is it attacking to? Let's step away. Okay. And I think it's going to move in the direction it's facing now. So let's throw out a poison strike and hope that it moves into that space. Successful guessing. Killed off the salamanders. We did take a couple of hits, which isn't fantastic, but it could have gone a lot worse. With your finishing move, the last salamander gives a guttural roar and its fire extinguishes. It stops moving and turns grey, then explodes into ash. An old man in red and gold robes who is standing in the corner of the room runs towards you. He's clearly angry. What do you think you're doing? It took hours to conjure those beasts. Hours! So, I guess this is Cosben, and he's not coming across as an evil, powerful sorcerer so much as an irritated academic. You apologise, but insist that it was in self-defence. I seek the amulet of Ashra. You're going to just tell him that you came here for the amulet? Okay, bold play. I seek the amulet of Ashra, which protects those who keep the memory of the old gods. Pfft, says the Master of Fire. That's superstitious nonsense. Anger wells up in your chest. It's not, you start to say, but the Master turns his back on you and reaches into a display case. Here, he says, tossing you a necklace made of bone and leather. Take it. It's practically worthless. Okay, well that was easier than I expected. It doesn't look like much, but you feel its power pulsing through your fingers. You look carefully at the tiny carved pendant that still has the rubies inset into it. The one true amulet of Ashra. It seems unbelievable that my search has ended so easily. Yeah, there is that. Makes me think that getting out is going to be even harder than getting in was. The Master carries on with his valuable work. You snaffle a fire vial on your way out, so you pinch some of his stuff as you leave. He has dozens of... Okay, it's just stopping in the middle of the sentence. It's baffling that this Cosben has so little understanding of the amulet's qualities. Yeah, I mean, if he's a professional sorcerer, really he should be able to sense the power that I'm sensing from this amulet. Unless it's all in my mind, and I'm just so devout in my belief in this amulet that I just am convinced I can feel power radiating from it. Maybe that's it, maybe I'm just delusional. Let's leave the room regardless. Get out of this guy's office before he notices that we pocketed some of his stuff. With the amulet secured, your quest is complete. Something doesn't feel right, though. Didn't give you the sense of satisfaction you were expecting? This has been far too easy. Why would someone as powerful as Cosben simply hand over such a powerful artifact? You look again at the amulet and suddenly notice that the rubies have started darkening. Within seconds, the rubies are as black as onyx, and the amulet suddenly feels extremely cold to the touch. Is it a trap? You collapse to the floor, paralysed by some unseen forces. You feel freezing cold and your muscles ache and spasm in ways you've never felt before. It's the amulet of epilepsy. The door to Cospen's study room opens. You fool! Did you really think it would be that easy? Zagor took the amulet from me weeks ago, deeming me unfit for such a powerful artifact. Wow. That doesn't do much for staff morale. He's probably right, as I would have unlocked a power that even he would have feared. With that, Cospen gives you a little kick to make sure you are totally incapacitated, kicking me while I'm down. Okay, I've taken a dislike to this guy. From somewhere down the hallway you hear the sound of footsteps. Throw her into the river. She won't last long in there in this state. Well, yeah, I can't move. I'll last about 10 seconds. Your nostrils suddenly fill with the foul stench of orc as rough hands lift up your body. Your mind begins to drift and you realise that you're falling unconscious. Your thoughts fall into darkness. Your head breaks water and you gasp for air. You're being washed along a dark subterranean river into the unknown. The coldness of the water seems to have awoken you from whatever foul curse has been placed on you. Wow, they completely misjudged throwing me in the river then. It actually saved me. Your body still seems semi-paralysed and you feel helpless, thrashing around, trying desperately to keep breathing the air above you. I'm not sure I can do this much longer. If only I had some magic to help me breathe underwater. Test your skill. Okay, so this is like the luck test, where we roll against our skill and try to get a number that's lower. So, here we go. Let's roll. 8. Just about made it. You managed to tread water. And we're being washed along just sort of a dark space here. You continue to thrash around to try and keep your head above water, swallowing large amounts of water as you do so. -3 stamina. Oh, that's harsh. We've swallowed enough water that it hurts more than being hit with a sword. The shock to your body of nearly drowning seems to reduce the effects of the paralysis, and you find that your arms and legs have begun working again. Somewhere to your left you can see light, some large structures, and a beach. Quickly swim towards the beach. Swim, 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 swim. Okay, here we go. Reaching the shore, you pull yourself out of the water, coughing and spluttering. Giving yourself a few moments, you then get to your feet and find yourself standing in the large underground cavern. The most striking thing is a massive structure ahead of you, built into the cave wall itself. It emanates a feeling of dread as it looms over the riverbank. Well, I think at this point, let's put a hold on this adventure here. We've been going for quite a while already. I actually don't know if it's possible to save and exit. I may need to just leave this running and then come back later on. But I think we'll break this off here and pick it up another time. Let's just go through the rest of this little text first, though. To the right of the huge structure is a smaller but still imposing building in the cave wall. To the left is a small wooden shack, probably large enough to house the living quarters for a single person. Directly to your right is a wooden building that sits next to a bridge, snaking off into the distance behind you. It looks like I'm going to have to hunt down Zagor if I'm going to get my hands on the amulet. That large building ahead looks like a likely candidate for a warlock's lair. I assume we're going to have to do some exploring of the lair once we get in there. So, let's see what happens here. Okay, it looks like we should just be able to exit the game, I think. So, thanks for watching. We will resume this the next time for some more Warlock of Firetop Mountain antics. I did think we might be able to get through the whole of an adventure in one sitting, but it's turning out to be longer than I thought it was going to be. So I will do a second part of this so you can see how the rest of this adventure shapes up. Thanks for watching as we explored Firetop Mountain in search of this amulet and kept trying to save people who were in indentured servitude but didn't appreciate our clumsy attempts at rescue. Rejoin me the next time for part 2 of Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Bye for now.